Hey, today we're going to be talking about the RACI model and how it pertains to project management so that you can get your projects done on time, or dare I say early. Probably not, but at least on time. So this is going to be like a multifaceted approach, and I hate using mumbo jumbo like that, but basically I got a lot of things going on here, right? On the iPad here, as you can see, we have a RACI model example. We're actually going to walk through a live case study. And it was really important to me that the CEO was depicted how most CEOs are. So you got a little bit of adult at the top of the food chain there. And in the upper right-hand corner, we're working on a project, and it's basically rebranding a website. Now, what we're also going to be doing is on the screen here is a RACI matrix template. And this is something I'm going to have in the description for you that you can one-click this button right here, and it's going to open up a template that's going to look something like this. But I've already filled out some of the information of the template because we're going to walk through that. But first things first, why don't we start with exactly what is the RACI model and what does it mean? So the RACI, what does it mean? It's responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed. Now, I'm going to leave that up on the screen here, the text, if you want to read through that. But the reason this is really important and powerful is maybe like me, you've been in a meeting where you have a new project initiative and that there's a lot of key decision makers in the room. And they're like, all right, we should do that. Who's going to, be in charge of this? And they go, Jim from accounting. And they go, okay. And then you get back to next week and they're like, Jim, did you get that done? And he's like, no, I ran into some roadblocks. The RACI model is the thing that's going to allow you to really make sure that all the key decision makers are involved in that project and making sure that the project is moving forward at a quick pace. So why don't we go back to the iPad and look at this example again. So if we take a look at this RACI matrix, the thing I want to make you aware of is, in this particular case, is that the roles can shift depending on the task. So project phase 1 here, this one's really, I'm going to call this budget, okay? So you can see the first thing that we're working on here is this right here, and that is establishing the overall budget. So what I did for this is the responsible person, again, the manager or team member who is directly responsible for completing it. Think of like responsible as the person whose boots on the ground, hands are touching this. I put this as the CFO. We're going to put a big R underneath the CFO for the overall budget. And now accountable, that's what I put in for the CMO, because the CMO is the person with final authority over the successful completion of this specific task. Because the CMO is the person who needs to actually have that budget so that they can move forward with this project. Then there is consulted, and what I did for consulted is I decided to make that the director of marketing, because the director of marketing is going to have some key insights on this project and things that need to be done. And then lastly, we have informed, and that is going to be the COO in this particular task. So the COO needs to be informed of what's going on, but not necessarily directly involved. And again, the CEO at the top, that dolt, he's just kind of off on an island. He's probably playing like Words with Friends or something. So before I go into the breakdown budget by vendor, I did want to open this. So you can open an item page. This is nice because if you need to write updates, share files, activity logs, Monday.com is great for being able to do that. And one of the most important things too is you actually want to set up a status of the deliverable task. So in this particular case, we might say we're working on it. Once we're done with that one, we're done. And then we go to breakdown budget by vendor. This is all kind of task deadlines. Let's say it was like, the 20th, and that one's done. And this one's going to be the 22nd. So the breakdown by budget vendor one here, I changed up who's responsible for this. So if we go back to the iPad here, just because I want to have some fun with this Apple Pencil that I overpaid for and never use. I'm going to kind of give us some new tasks here. So responsible in this particular case, that's going to be the director of marketing, because the director of marketing is the one that's actually going to go out to the vendors because we're rebranding a website, and they're going to decide like, oh, we need new graphic design. We need the website team that's outsourced to be involved with this. So then still the CMO on this particular project is accountable. The COO is still going to be informed, which is probably going to be the case for all of these projects. And the CFO is going to be consulted. Well, how is the CFO going to be consulted? Like, let's say the director of marketing realizes like, hey, I don't know if we got enough budget, or perhaps like there ends up becoming some scope creep that happens in this project, and they have to go and consult with the CFO just to say, hey, I might need a little bit more money. Is that possible? So honestly, it kind of sucks, in my opinion, doing this work up front, because you're like, oh gosh, another meeting, but we got to set up who are the people that are going to be involved throughout this project. Then what you can do is you can sit here on this template that I'm showing you, and you can go through the different project phases, right? Like if we're thinking about this project, we need to establish a budget, we need to contact the vendors, what's the sequence of the steps? Then you can go through and fill out all the different roles, and then you can even get as granular as saying, what are the task deadlines, when are these due, etc. So when you take the time to do that, and yes, like if you're anything like me, I hate doing that setup work in the beginning. I just want to go in and do stuff. But take the time to actually figure it out and do these things, and it's going to be so much more efficient for you when you go through your projects. Now, the last thing we're going to see on the screen here is a tutorial from Monday.com. It's really going to get into the nuts and bolts of how the tool works so that you know exactly what you're getting into. And as I mentioned before, there is a link in the description below for this specific template, but they have a free trial that you can use as well. So super easy to use, great service. I couldn't recommend it enough. So I'll catch you on that next video, and thank you for using my link in the description below. All right, take care.